Hi guys, Tan and focusing on operating management. Now on merit criteria. Now the merit criteria includes merit M1, M2, M3 and M4. And we're going to be covering these in the next 20 minutes. Okay, so the first thing we do is review the question, don't we?
Yeah.
So, what does M1 say?
Review and critique the implementation of operations management in relation to Six Sigma
Methodology and lean principles.
Yeah.
So, okay, keywords here.
Review
and
critique.
Yes, review and critique. What does critique mean?
Criticize.
To criticize, yeah? And to give your own opinions. So to look at the different sides of the coin, to critique it in terms of the principles, and then to eventually, once you've critiqued it, what is your own opinion? What do you think? Yeah? Okay, so what do we need to find out now? Review and critique the implementation of operations management in relation to Six Sigma methodology and lean principles. We need to find out what lean and Six Sigma is, yes? So we've covered lean before. What is lean?
Reduce wastage.
So lean is about reducing wastage and defects. What else? Do you remember the slides on lean?
Improving efficiency.
Improving efficiencies. Good. So when we look at lean, we are talking about reducing defects, waiting times, looking at the processing, unauthorized people, reducing the amount of inventory or stock, improving the transportation, not overproducing things and therefore costing more money or wastage, and excess motion, taking too much time to do things, and also defects, how many defects and repairs are needed. So when we're talking about lean, we're talking about this model here, okay? Now, what is Six Sigma? So the next thing that we need to look at, obviously, is Six Sigma. And again, if you remember, Six Sigma is simply a method of becoming more efficient and more effective in our processes and our practices. Using Six Sigma reduces the amount of defective products manufactured or services provided, okay? Resulting in increased revenue and greater customer satisfaction. And what did we say that the stages were? Can you remember?
Identify the problem.
Good. What's next? So you said that the first stage, David, was to identify the problem. Okay. What's the next stage?
Measure.
Map out.
Process.
Map out the process, yes. Next stage.
Define the cause of the problem.
Define the cause of the problem, yes.
And implement and verify the solution.
Verify the solutions, and finally,
Maintain the solution. Control.
and control it after the implementation. Make sure it's being controlled. So, is this very similar to Taylor's scientific approach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's similar in Taylor's scientific approach in terms of mapping out a process. Mapping out the process in terms of what's actually happening. But with Taylor's scientific approach, Taylor's not saying there's a problem or there's an issue. Taylor's saying, let's map out every single process. If we take the case study McDonald's, let's map out the process of how they cook their fries. Let's map out the process in terms of how they cook their hamburgers. Let's map out the process in terms of their customer service. Okay? And then in that process, they have lean in terms of becoming more efficient and continuous improvement at different levels. And they say, how can we improve this? Yes? So lean is saying what? What is Lean saying? Lean is saying that in fact there's a problem. Because remember the question. The question says review and critique operations management, operations project management in methodologies in relation to Six Sigma and Lean. So how would you then critique this? What would you say if you were going to look at Six Sigma?
That people might even just be like, oh, there's no problems.
Yes, good. So what you're saying, David, is that if people just focus on problems, if you don't believe that you have a problem in your workplace, then how do you know to focus on a specific area? Because if you don't have a problem, well, then there's nothing wrong with it. Okay? But then if you don't continually adopt continuous improvement, then how do you know if you're at the right standard or not? If you're not investing money to look at everyone else, look at your competition, how do you know there's a problem? Maybe there isn't a problem. Or maybe you've always done things the way you've done it and everything seems to be working fine, but how do you know your competitors are not doing it 20% more efficiently? Do you understand? In which case, do you now have a problem because someone has found out a different way of doing it which is more efficient than yours? Is there a problem then?
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Yes. There's a problem because why?
We are going to be out of business.
You're going to be losing more money because someone is going to be saving more money, they're going to be making more profits, and then in relation to competing against you, they can then use that money to reinvest back into more staff, equipment, advertising, marketing, satisfying consumers' needs. So yes, it is a problem. Okay, it is a problem. So, but if you don't believe you have a problem in the first place, then you're not going to solve it. What are some of the other issues with Six Sigma, would you say? In terms of identifying, implementing and verify the solution.
The need for change.
The need for change as well. And who's gonna be doing the change? People. And sometimes people can be resistant to change. So even though you said verify change, just to say change doesn't necessarily get people to change what they're doing in the way that they're doing it. And even if they do a change, then are they going to be doing it in the most efficient and effective way? Are they going to be, motivated to do it? So just implementing Lean and Six Sigma doesn't necessarily guarantee you success. I would say that you actually need other theories and practices in there to implement change. And you need investment in there. Investment into the right continuous improvement level. Is it level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? And also investment into motivational theories. Should you be looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs to motivate people to serve more people? Because just having a system in terms of serving people doesn't necessarily motivate them to want to serve people faster or quicker or to do the best that they can. You may need to motivate them by other needs in terms of love and belonging, self-esteem, in terms of achievement in the workplace, or even financial rewards in terms of serving more people within a certain hour that's bringing in more money and that you get a reward for that. So Six Sigma by itself, I would suggest, isn't necessarily just going to guarantee you success, but it could be a starting point. And there could be some issues as well with the term problem, because if you don't believe you have a problem, then how are you going to actually change things and realize and identify it? And also, who is going to lead this forward? Have you got a team of people leading this forward? Who is actually leading this forward? Who is actually implementing the change? Have you got someone specially designed in QAA? Is there someone employed, or is it just a manager? And does the manager have the training and the know-how to actually implement this, and the authority? Do you understand? So just having Six Sigma is not necessarily enough to say this is going to be successful. There are many other things in terms of how you integrate it into the business for it to be successful. And it needs to come from the top, and you need investment, I would suggest. Would you agree with that? Yeah? Okay. So that's... So M1 is saying review and critique the implementation of operations management in relation to Six Sigma. So how would you, critique it, in your opinion, in terms of implementing Six Sigma and Lean into McDonald's? Okay? So you need to, because we are talking about McDonald's in terms of the case study. It could be another company, but we're talking about it in relation to the assignment case study. Okay? Do you think you can answer this question?
Yeah.
How many words do you think I'm looking for M1?
300.
Yeah, about 300 words. 250, 300. Okay? M2. Analyse the effectiveness of continuous improvement plan using appropriate theories, concepts and models. So M2 is in relation to P2. So let's go back and look at P2. So if you remember in P2, P2 said prepare a continuous improvement plan based on the review and critique of operation management principles within an organizational context. So, organizational principles within an organizational context. In P2 we're using McDonald's, yes. The operational principles was what?
What's it? Science.
Taylor's scientific approach. Yeah. So with Taylor's scientific approach in terms of identifying the process, codifying each part of the